Hi everyone. Okay, so this is the reference photo that I'm going to be working from today. As you can see, it's a ladybird there on a blade of grass with water droplets on the grass. A little bit different from what I usually do. I'm going to be using some mixed media techniques for this one. And as you can see, I've already got the background filled in there, using various mixed media techniques for that. You're probably wondering why I didn't actually show that in this video. Well, this video is just going to be a brief overview of this drawing. So the full lesson of it will be over on my Patreon channel as usual, and I'll leave links to that in the description and in the end screen cards as well. Okay, so once I've got the background in there, I can now concentrate with the graphite on putting in the detail on the grass. All the very fine veins and subtle changes in tone there were mainly done with a 2H pencil and an HB pencil. Now if you follow this channel, or if even you just saw the last video of the mountain scene there, you'll probably remember that we had a photo competition over on Patreon where all the members sent in a photo of a scene that they wanted me to draw, and I made a video of all the photos and they all voted on the one that they wanted me to draw. And last month it was the mountain scene, but in second place, in very close second place, was this one. So I decided to give this one a go as well, because several people contacted me and said, you know, I'd love to see you do this one. You know, I know it's not a usual landscape or anything like that, but I think it's a really nice scene and to make a great lesson. So that's why I'm actually doing this one today, because it's quite a simple one to do. I think beginners will cope with this one quite easily. You know, I know it's not my usual graphite landscape. You know, it's a completely different subject there, and we're using mixed media techniques, but still, it's very easy to do, and it's not very time consuming either. That background goes in very quickly, very easily, and like I say, I show all that over on Patreon, and the time spent with the graphite now, putting in all the detail on the grass and the water drops and the ladybird, it really gave a nice, you know, effective result there. So I think beginners and intermediates will get very fast results with this one, you know, results they'll be pleased with very quickly. Now the paper that I'm working on today was cut down from a sheet of Arches hot press paper, £140. The size of the drawing is approximately 7.5 by 8.5 inches, and the reason I chose Arches watercolour paper was because obviously I've been using some wet media techniques in the background there, and that's going to stand up a lot better than cartridge paper or drawing paper would, you know, when it comes to buckling and warping and everything. So I've got a little bit more texture on there than I would usually have with my regular drawing paper, you know, the Daler Rowney Smooth Heavyweight. But it's still a nice paper to work on for drawing. Just takes a little bit of getting used to, really. I know some artists actually prefer drawing on Arches watercolour paper, you know, the smooth hot pressed. I won't say that it's my favourite paper for drawing on, let's put it that way, but I can certainly work with it, you know, no problem at all. But I do prefer, just for pure graphite drawings, you know, the Daler Rowney Smooth Heavyweight, or even the Strathmore Bristol Vellum, you know, another really nice paper there. But I think for mixed media techniques, particularly where we're using heavy applications of a wet media, like watercolour or something like that, I think it's probably better to do it on a watercolour paper, you know, to avoid you know, any of the warping that can go on there. So Arches is a really good choice, probably one of the best choices actually, but there are a number of watercolour papers out there, hot pressed, for example Fabriano, Saunders, Bockingford. Oh, there's loads, too many to mention. You know, so it's not necessary that you actually use Arches for this, because I know it's, you know, quite an expensive paper, but as long as it's you know, a smooth watercolour paper that you use for this one, you'll get some nice results. Now you'll probably notice I'm using a magnifying glass there. Now that's really helpful for getting in there to see all the fine detail, you know, which you can probably see with your naked eye. I mean, I can see it with my naked eye. I haven't got bad eyesight or anything like that. It's not that I need to use a magnifying glass because of, you know, any reasons like that. In fact, I don't even wear glasses other than for reading and things like this, drawing. So my eyesight's fine. So I just find it really helpful to use a magnifying glass just to enlarge the detail. It just makes it easier, and it can keep your pencil work a lot more accurate as well. You don't really need a really powerful magnifying glass or anything like that. You don't need like a 5 times or a 10 times magnification. I think the one I've got is probably just 2.5 times magnification, that's all. And that's absolutely perfect. I think if you go for very strong magnifications like 5 times or 10 times, it kind of zooms in too close. It probably hinders you more than helps you, actually. You only need something like 2 times magnification just to help you see all the fine detail and get the precision in some of the fine work there. And if you couple that with a mechanical pencil with a 0.5mm lead, or even one of the Pentelloren's 0.2 LEDs, very fine, that combination will get you the finest detail, and you'll be amazed at just how accurate and precise you can be using mechanical pencils and magnifying glasses. And I don't recommend doing an entire drawing like that. It's just not necessary. But for certain things like this, tiny details on ladybirds and things like that, it really can help you out. Particularly in areas like this where I need a quite a sharp, crisp looking line. That transition there from the shadow underneath the ladybird to the bottom edge of its wing, it's a very sharp, precise line there. And sometimes the trouble with drawing on watercolour papers, even though they are the smooth hot press watercolour papers, they're never as smooth as a smooth cartridge paper or drawing paper, and it can often lead to a bit of a fuzzy line there, not quite so crisp looking. So using a magnifying glass to keep reworking that line and reworking those edges, with a pencil there, will result in very nice, fine, crisp edges and that kind of thing. Obviously I've moved the magnifying glass away now. I don't really need it for the shading on the wings there or anything. In fact, a nice fuzzy edge, nice soft transition there will be absolutely ideal there. And also using a combination of mechanical pencils and wood case pencils together will both get you different results. And again, particularly on watercolour paper, you'll see these results more than you would on regular cartridge paper. For example, a wood case pencil, slightly thicker lead than a mechanical pencil. So the lead's going to kind of sit more on the surface and pick up more of the surface texture than a mechanical pencil. The mechanical pencil with its fine leads, you can actually dig into the paper a little bit. I mean, I'm not talking about damaging the paper here or real heavy-handedness of cutting into the paper at all. I'm talking about if you just apply a little bit more pressure with a mechanical pencil, it will very slightly indent the paper and give you a much crisper looking line. But if you're planning to shade over those areas, I wouldn't recommend using mechanical pencils and embossing the paper in any way at all. Obviously, use the wood case pencils there, and try not to press too hard and emboss the paper or anything if you're planning to layer up. But for those final touches, those really dark areas where you're not layering up, you're not planning to put any more graphite or anything over the top, a mechanical pencil is brilliant because you can dig into the grain of the paper a little bit, fill all the pores of the paper up, and still retain those nice crisp edges and lines, in the drawing. Okay, so we're just about at the end of the drawing now. I've just got a few more of these water drops put in, and then we can call this one done. So just remember, this is just a brief overview of this drawing lesson. The full lesson will be over on my Patreon channel, and as always I will leave a link in the description below, and I'll put a link on the end screen as well. So as soon as the video's finished there, you'll see the Patreon symbol come up. If you just click on that, it'll take you straight to Patreon. Okay, so I'll just let the video run out now and leave you to watch this last bit in peace. So thanks very much for watching. If you like the video, please give a thumbs up, it really helps the channel out, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care everybody, bye for now.